So here's this breaking point of the Anda. How did that relationship evolve?
The two of them never claimed to break it. They had just separated, and now we have the Wang Han, the most powerful ruler on the steppe, who's ruling out of central Mongolia of the Kariat people. And so Jamaka remains loyal to him, but at first so does Temujin. They're both loyal to him, but they're fighting in different kinds of campaigns. So for a while, they're not fighting each other. But eventually some things happened that separate Temujin. Temujin was making all of these great victories for Wang Han. And he was even got the title Wang, which means from Chinese, meaning prince or king. Wang Han received that from the Jin dynasty because of all of these conquests against the Tatar people. So Temujin was rising up, and then he wanted his son to marry the daughter of Wang Han. And Wang Han said no. His own son, Sengum, told the father, no, we don't marry those low people. They're Mongols. They're not like us. We are Kariat people. We're not going to marry them. And so then now war, you could say, breaks out, or feud, really. It's more of a feud. And Temujin has to flee far away into the east to a place called Baljuna. And he goes to Baljuna, and at this time, then Jamaka is going to fight on behalf of his lord, Wang Han. The two of them do not meet in combat, but now their forces are fighting each other.
And they didn't see that. I mean, there's an obvious tension there. There's an obvious, if slight, breaking of loyalty, right?
Yes, it's hard to know what's going through their mind at that point. We only have it later on when the relationship is being resolved in unfortunate ways, that they claim that neither one of them ever truly broke it because they never harmed each other directly. And in fact, then Temujin eventually defeats Wang Han. So he takes over central Mongolia. He's starting to really rise up now. And he has the title from his own people of Genghis Khan. They give him that at Black Heart Mountain by the Blue Lake. It's a very beautiful, special place. But he takes that title. That's not a title that anyone had ever held that we know of. Genghis Khan, it was a new title that he just thought up, or somebody thought up, or somebody thought it had auspicious meaning behind it. It's very close to the word Tingis, which means the sea. It could have had something to do with that. Mongolians really like, we might say, puns they like words with multiple meanings. And that's very important to them. The more meanings a word has, the more power that word has. So if it has different meaning in different languages, so in the Mongolian, it sounds like strong, chin, Chinggis. But in Turkic, and there are many Turkic people, including the Merkit themselves are mostly Turkic people, it sounds like the sea, Tingis.
So it's exciting to them when there's this double meaning.
Yes.
And the double meaning plays with each other, and that excites them.
Especially with names.
Yeah.
I'm like today in Mongolia, I've been there so long, I think the fad is past now, but about 20 years ago, it was popular to name children Michelle, girls, because it's a French name, an American name, and it means smile in Mongolia. So it's the power of three great languages and three great civilizations. And so many names are like that. And so I think Chinggis, it doesn't have one meaning. I think it means powerful. It means the sea. I think it means many different things. But so he had become a Khan, and he was ruling over him. And so Jamaka now switched loyalties to the next kingdom over, called the Naiman people, who are farther west. And he becomes the protege, you could say, of the Naiman people. But when Genghis Khan attacks the Naiman, Jamaka deserts the Naiman. He tells them these people have snouts of steel and they eat humans alive. And he was telling them all these horrible things about the Mongols, And Taiyang Han, the leader of the Naimans, he was rightfully scared about them, and he was left there, and he, in fact, was very quickly also defeated. So Jamaka has not fought against Temujin in this campaign. And he's off with some of his people, Jadagan clan people. He's off with them, and they see the turning of the tide, but he now wants to become the great Khan of the steppe. He has very few followers, but he takes the title Gurkhan, which is a very old, ancient, important title. But because Wang Han is gone, Torgal Han gone, that he can take this title and pretend to be the great Khan of the steppe and all. But his own people turn against him, and they capture him, and they think they will take him to Genghis Khan. It's not Genghis Khan. They'll take him, and they'll be rewarded, perhaps, for turning him in. And Genghis Khan does reward them immediately. He kills them all because they have betrayed their leader, who is his Anda. It's a very strange encounter. And so supposedly, Genghis Khan says to him, "Come back to me, save me, be beside me, protect me, be my shadow, be my safety guard in life." And supposedly, Jamaka says, "But I did betray you when my people fought against you, and you will always know that, and you will never completely trust me. I will be like a louse underneath the collar of your tunic. I will be like a thorn in the lapel of your dell." He said, "Kill me without shedding my blood. Let me die. And if you do, take my remains up to a high place and bury me, and I will be the guard. I will be the protector for you and your people forever." So they obviously, Temujin did not participate in the killing, but he ordered the killing. And he was either, it's not specified how he was killed without shedding the blood, but the Mongols had several ways, because the most honorable way to die was without shedding blood. The blood contains part of the soul, and if you lose it, you're losing your soul before you die. So they usually wrapped them up in felt carpets and then beat them to death or trampled them to death with horses, something like that. There are a couple other methods, but I think that's probably the method by which Jamaka was killed. And so he was killed, and then Temujin or Genghis Khan had his remains taken up and buried in a high place. This is over near Tuva, which is today part of Russia, but until the 20th century was a part of Mongolia. The Tuvan people, very, very close culturally to the Mongols.
It seems that both of them, under relationship, had a deep value for loyalty. And so the way, it's not worth living after you've been disloyal, which is the Jamaka perspective, right?
He had become very practical at this point, and he understood that you needed complete, total loyalty and trust with everybody around you. And I think for this reason, he was willing either to accept the plea of Jamaka, and when Genghis Khan was asking him to come back and to be his shadow and to be his safety guard again, maybe that was just a formality that he knew would be rejected. Or maybe when Jamaka offered to be killed without shedding blood, that was a formality that he thought would not be followed through.
Nevertheless, to me, just reading your work and understanding this history, this relationship seems like a really, really important relationship that defines the nature of loyalty.
Yes.
And for Genghis.
I would say in both negative and positive ways, it was the most important relationship of his adulthood aside from Bursa. But that relationship really did not seem to have many negative aspects. They sometimes disagreed on things, but small things. So she was by him, and she was positive in every regard, so far as we know, forever. Although she was not submissive, but she was always on his side. And Jamaka, it was just a little too hot-headed for me, I mean, in my evaluation of him, that these things like, oh, we're going to drop down on the market and we're going to come through the smoke hole, kill everybody and all. And he had a flair for the dramatic, even in a way giving the gold belt to Temujin. But Jamaka also, he explained himself at the end of life. And he said, we both lost our father, but I also lost my mother. And you had a strong mother to raise you. I did not. And he said, you had Bershta. You have a very strong wife to help you. And my wife, he just used a word like prattler, like she just sort of complains and prattles along, and we did not have a relationship. So I think something about that rings true, that there were some elements of that were true. But Jamaka certainly didn't have the intelligence and the real genius for dealing with people, dealing with soldiers, especially in warfare, that Temujin had.
Yeah, in that relationship, there's a contrast because Genghis Khan did not accumulate riches or accumulate power in a way that was for the sake of the riches or for the sake of the power.
Yes.
It was always very practical in what is the way to maximize the success of this operation.
Yes. I often wonder what happened to the gold belt. It disappeared from the story, and a gold belt doesn't just disappear, What happened to that? It's so interesting because Temujin was never interested in material goods. And as Genghis Khan as the ruler, he, in some ways, you could say, became the richest man in the world because he controlled the most wealth flowing through him. But he always dressed simply. He always lived in the tent. And he said, I eat what my soldiers eat. I dress the way my soldiers dress. I live the way my soldiers live. We are the same. So yeah, he had no interest in the wealth. And when Jamaka, he had sided before with Wang Han, which was very advantageous because they had more trade goods and wealthier people and all. But he just didn't have the temperament, I think, that was going to be helpful for Genghis Khan's continued rise.